Hello, let's look at using generics in Rust. One thing that confused me when I first started was, okay, you have a generic after the struct. That just says that the struct contains a generic. Are you going to be using one? When you use impl, this was confusing because I got that you'd have, if you had a T there, you'd have a T there, and so on. You there, you there. Now, when you create your own type and you want to be using that in place of the generic placeholder, let me explain. Let's look at this. So if you had a builder pattern, you there, you there. Now, the has URL, so you could be creating a marker struct. In this case, no URL, has URL. This is taken from the typestate pattern. So I've just been refreshing myself on the typestate pattern, and then it brought me to query this little consideration. So what you've got is declaring a generic. That's the struct part. So the U is the placeholder. And then you're just basically saying that the implementation is going to reference. Here we go. I'm writing an implementation that works for any U. Because Rust has never heard of this U before, we must introduce it. Fine. So impl U or T, whatever capital letter you desire. Typically, the capital letter is the first letter of the key that you're trying to represent. So this all makes sense. When we get here, this was my query. So, okay, I get that we pass in our marker here on the right of the request builder. So the request builder is the thing that we want to modify prior to actually converting it to just to a request. So the key here is it's not a generic parameter anymore. So because this is not a generic parameter, it's actually a concrete type, we don't put it over here in between the impl and the request builder. So it doesn't need to be declared. So the two implementations mean very different things. We've got the generic. That's what you all encounter in most tutorials and when you get started using generics. But when you are using a concrete type, which is has URL, it only works when U equals has URL. So this is part of the typestate pattern idea. You read it as only for request builder has URL. Method that works for every box. Now we only want a method for integer boxes. So there, because we're passing a concrete type rather than T, we don't put the T before the word box and after the word impl. So again, impl T declares a generic. Impl box I32 uses a concrete type. So it's all about using a concrete type instead of declaring a generic. Has URL. So then, yeah, the whole idea is that it won't compile if you haven't. So this method, build, it only exists on request builder has URL. So that is a different type to that. So although we're actually using the same underlying struct, we end up with a different type, and the type that the compiler is isn't checking a Boolean, it's checking the type. Yes, it's all about the type. Whenever you see impl, ask yourself one question. Am I introducing a generic type or am I using an existing one? Let's see the rule of thumb. Declaring a generic, using, so kind of using is the key word, and obviously concrete type is important. So once you separate declaring a type parameter from using a type, this syntax becomes much easier to read and you'll start noticing the same pattern throughout the Rust standard library. Now, again, all of this was me querying with, I can't remember, probably Claude. What I just wanted to get clear was when I do that, why was that bit not at the start as well, like the mirror? Because I've been so used to just putting that there. And the typestate pattern prompted me to revisit this. So if you're thinking, what the hell am I up to? I'm just writing a couple of typestate pattern examples. And I don't know about you, but I still like to write things from memory rather than use any coding completion or AI, Copilot or anything like that. So each day I like to spend, I don't know, an hour or two writing code from scratch, from my head. It might seem very old school. It might be, it might be quite laughed at in a few years' time, but I just think it's good for your brain. Is anyone else doing the same? Let me know. Drop me a line in the comments. Thank you.